In this lesson, we're going to learn the pronunciation of 15 words that students very often pronounce incorrectly. This video is especially useful if you are a beginner, pre-intermediate, or an intermediate student. Having said that, lots of upper intermediate and even advanced students still make mistakes using these words, so if I were you, I'd simply check that I can say them correctly. As always, in our lessons, we're going to practice these words on their own first, and I'll give you lots of tips for you to remember how to say them correctly. We'll then put them into sentences and finally finish our lesson with a little story so that you can use these words in a broader context. So without further ado, let's deal with our first word. And this is a very basic word, of course, but lots of students want to pronounce all the letters they see in that word. But hey, there's a silent letter inside. Which one? It's the I. We don't pronounce the letter I in this word, so it's fruit. Another similar, basic word where the letter I is silent is friend. So we don't say friend, no, friend, with a simple e sound, exactly the same sound as we've got in the word pet or get, friend. Well, let's stay with silent vowels. How would you say this word? Now again, a lot of students want to pronounce all the letters they see there, but there is a vowel in this word that we don't pronounce. And that vowel is the letter U. So we say building, building. Again, lots of students are having problems here, but remember, it's just a short I at the beginning of this word, building. And I've got one more example where the learners pronounce a vowel which shouldn't be pronounced. How would you say this word? The problem here is the ending and how to pronounce it. But in English, if you add ed to a word that doesn't finish in t or d, you never add an extra syllable. You simply attach d to the rest of the word. So the infinitive here is marry, and if you attach d to it, it's simply married. Married. Notice that this E is not pronounced. Married. So far we have discovered 4 words where there are silent vowels. Fruit, friend, building, and married. Try to remember these. And now let's go to another word. Now this one is difficult not because of the sounds we have inside, but because of the stress. A lot of students put the stress on the first syllable of this word, but that's incorrect. We should pronounce it as Brazil. Brazil. Did you notice how strong that stress on the second syllable is? Brazil. And then because it's the second syllable that's stressed, the first one is very, very short. It's just Brazil. Another word. How would you say this? Many students have a problem because they don't know how to pronounce the letter A at the beginning. And here I've got news for you. This A is pronounced exactly in the same way as the letter A in the English alphabet. So April. April. You basically need to give yourself time when you say this word to say A at the beginning. April. Now let's have a look at a couple of words now that students very often confuse, and it's even the advanced or proficiency students who don't get these words right. So on the one hand, we've got man, one person, man, and on the other hand, we've got men, 2 or more people. So, man, one person, is pronounced with the sound that's similar to a long R. Man, man. It's the same sound that we've got in the words bad or dad, man. Here, on the other hand, in men, we're pronouncing this word with a short e, exactly in the same way as we say the e sound in pet or get or friend. That's right. So, man, one person, men, two or more people. Right, another confusing word for you. How would you say it? Lots of students have a problem with pronunciation here because this word has the O sound in the first syllable. O, low, local. Pay attention to how my lips work when I say this word. Local. I'm going from O to U. O. O is a diphthong. It consists of two sounds, and you have to make sure that you say them. Because if you say this word with just an O sound, it sounds pretty bad. So remember, local. Also, remember that local is an adjective. It doesn't mean a place. Lots of my Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian students have a problem here because local is a false friend in their language. So remember, local is an adjective, and we pronounce it with an O. For instance, a local restaurant. Oh, did you hear how I said that word? Restaurant. Now this is very, very hard for students because with all the letters inside this word, you would think that there are more syllables and that it's somehow necessary to pronounce all of these letters. But no, this is English and there are no such rules. Restaurant. Just two syllables. Restaurant. Restaurant. A local restaurant. Okay, let's come back to the O sound. Would you be able to pronounce this word saying O inside? Listen. Hotel. Hotel. This word is full of traps. First of all, as we have just discovered, we need to pronounce the letter O as, an O, exactly in the same way as the letter O in the English alphabet. And then we need to put the stress on the second syllable, not the first. Second syllable, listen, hotel, hotel, a local hotel. And also, some of you may need to pay special attention to the fact that we pronounce the initial H in this word. It's not a silent letter. Yeah, if you're a French speaker, for example, you'll have a problem with that. Hotel. A local hotel. Okay, let's have a look at another word that students very often get wrong. How would you say the letters OU inside this word? Well, the letters OU can be pronounced in at least 9, maybe even 10 different ways in English. But in here, we are pronouncing them as a short A, in exactly the same way as we would say cut or but. Double. So in here, OU is pronounced as a short A. We don't have many words like these in English, but there is a group of quite basic words with OU pronounced as a short A. Double is one of them, and it's definitely worth paying attention to. And just to finish this list, we're going to come back to regular verbs and have a look at 3 of them. Can you remember what we said about ed endings in English today? We said that if there is no t or d in front of an ed ending, we are not going to add any extra syllables to the verb. So all the verbs that you can see here are 1 syllable long. This is a big challenge for learners because it's not easy to add d or t to the endings of these verbs without adding that extra syllable. But it's really important not to do it. because if you add an extra syllable, you are actually giving me an order to do something. If you say work it, you are also telling me to work something. It doesn't make any sense, does it? So in here, even though they can be really difficult to pronounce, you must make sure that you are not adding the extra syllable and you are saying the t or d at the end of these words. So, called, talked, worked. Called, talked, worked. Pay attention that in talked, the L is silent and there is a long O inside, talked. And inside worked, we are saying the WOR in exactly the same way as the plural past form of to be, where. You can apply this rule to practically any word that starts with WOR and is followed by a consonant. Worked. Well done. Now let's see how many of these words you can remember after this little teaching session. I'm going to show you each word first, give you a couple of seconds to try to remember how to say it, and then you'll be able to listen and check and repeat with me. Let's start. Fruit. Friend. Building. Married. Brazil. April. Man. Men. Local. Restaurant. Hotel. Double. Cold. Talked. Worked. Well done. How many could you remember? Let me know in the comments below. And now let's put these words into some sentences, because it's one thing to practice words on their own and a completely different one to put them into a longer sentence. So again, I'm going to show you the sentence first, give you a bit of time to think about how to pronounce it, and then you'll be able to listen, check, and repeat after me. Let's have a look. This building is a hotel with lots of double rooms. My friend is flying to Brazil in April. You must visit our local restaurant called the Pincho. The man who got married worked at the school. The four men were seen buying fruit at the local market. Sue talked about a building which was a hotel. Well done! Now, before we move on to the final part of this lesson, I wanted to let you know that if you'd really like to improve your pronunciation, you should consider joining my online learning community, Your English Upgrade. Your English Upgrade is a wonderful place if you want to improve your pronunciation and other skills, and join me learning English on one of the 2 weekly webinars that are available to any member of the community. When you become a member of Your English Upgrade, you immediately gain access to pronunciation hacks, a full pronunciation hacks course that I've designed that will help you sound better and more confident in English, and, of course, you can download all the PDFs and audio practice files that go with this video and any other video that I post on YouTube. The link to the community is in the description. I'll see you there. And now, let's come back to our words from this lesson and practice them in a story. Headphones on, and try to read the text together with me. After every sentence, I'm going to give you a bit of time to practice the words you had most problems with. Ready to start? Let's go! In April, a man called Robbie went to Brazil to visit a friend. He stayed in a double room at a hotel next to the building where his friend worked. The 2 men spent their time exploring the city. They visited local fruit markets during the day and enjoyed bars and restaurants in the evening. Robbie's friend had been married recently and talked a lot about life in Brazil. It was Robbie's first time here, and it was one of the best holidays he had ever had. Well done! If you still have problems pronouncing some of these words, make sure you save the video and come back to it in some time to check if you can remember how to say these words. And if you have time and energy now to practice more pronunciation, check out one of these 2 videos and I'll see you right there.